That's it, what a season. Great work this year, really great work. It's been hard at times, but we've come through.
It's been a roller coaster season then, but they can go into the winter with their heads held high after an emphatic victory here today. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
Welcome then to the podium, our top three drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race.
Wow. I mean, what a way to finish the season in Mexico. What a way, a fantastic race. I mean, one of the best races I think we've had. Like, in the whole season, possibly the best race for us, really. I mean, we were more dominant, I do feel it, France. But today, we fought for it. And we threw everything at it. We won by 3/10, and it really was going to be a 3-horse race, you know. But then Verstappen's unlucky. Mechanical made it a 2-horse race ourselves versus Checo Perez, and we win from 4th on the grid. Everyone in the top 10 went for a 2-stopper apart from Sebastian Vettel. Interesting strategy for him, and that actually paid off come the end of the race. And in fact, a 48-minute race. And what a race it was. 25 points to go with it. No fastest lap today. That, of course, goes to Charles Leclerc with a blistering recovery in that fantastic Ferrari. I mean, we ploughed through it. We were just constantly chipping off that block, going a little bit quicker than Perez every single lap, and gaining. We got so close so many times, but then we dropped away at the end of Sector 3 where Perez has that massive advantage and we struggle a little bit. Then we gained it in Sector 1, we got close, not close enough to get the move, and then finally on the last lap, I threw everything at it in Sector 2, risked it all, because, I mean, I knew by that point, was I to spin out and hit the wall and not, like, take damage? As long as my tyre didn't fly off, we'd have enough time to probably get back and just stay ahead of Bottas, you know, possibly. And at that point, I was throwing everything at it and then sent it cleanly, got the move done in the stadium section. I mean, what a way to finish off the season. Really sad for Checo. His home race, and we kind of took it from him on the last lap. He led a lot of the race. He led every lap but the last lap, and then we robbed it from him right at the end of it. What a shame. What a shame for Checo, but 18 points, still very solid, consolidates his P2 in the Drivers' Championship. He drived absolutely fantastically, 3/10 behind us in the end. He was just so solid, and he just kept putting in those laps. You know, his fastest lap, 1 minute 18.5, we were 1 minute 18.4, and we were constantly probably about a 10th quicker. But a 10th quicker, that takes like 10 laps to gain a second. We're probably about a couple of tenths quicker, to be honest, overall. And that takes 5 laps to gain a whole second. And you can see how, you know, we slowly chipped away to catch up to the Mexican and finally got it. But give him his credit where due. I mean, he drove fantastically for the whole race, dominated, wasn't fazed by anything really, and just drove almost a perfect race, really. Valtteri Bottas, P3, despite a fairly slow Mercedes, comfortably ahead of his teammate once again. I mean, the Mercedes never was going to be able to compete, but from second on the grid to third, not too bad at all. 15 points, and he's already champion. He has literally carried Mercedes this season. He really has. You know, Hamilton's contributed, but nowhere near as much as the fantastic Finn. I mean, just really great work from Valtteri there. P3 in the end of the race. Solid 15 points to finish the season. Danny Rick, P4. Really great work there to overtake Hamilton at the end of the race. It just proves how actually Hamilton, he's really been the second best driver. He's had an okay season. Bottas has outperformed his car, and I think that's showed him up a bit. But Danny Rick, P4, from 8th on the grid, 12 points. Isn't enough to stay ahead of us in the drivers, but it is certainly enough to finish P7. A solid result from the Australian driver at the end of the season. I mean, from P8, recovered, of course, having that grid penalty, got up the order, fought with Hamilton, and really drove a fantastic, solid, consistent race. Best up at 1:18.9, not too bad for that McLaren. Lewis Hamilton dropped down to P5 after being overtaken. A bit disappointing of a Grand Prix, but Mercedes having a similar car to McLaren and Ferrari this weekend, it really proved, that Hamilton, despite the rating, that slightly lower focus, he just doesn't have it really, does he? He's been beaten by Ricciardo, fair and square today, but still, a solid one to finish off the season. He takes P3 in the drivers, thanks to Verstappen's misfortune, his second mechanical of the season. 10 points for Hamilton at the end of this one. Lando Norris, P6. Another Brit. That's 3 Brits in the top 6. Good result for Lando there. Managed to get ahead of Charles at the end of it. Despite having a fairly slow best lap, it was just a solid race from Lando. Recovered well. And that should be enough to get himself ahead of Carlos Sainz in the Drivers' Championship. That's exactly what he needed to do. Leclerc takes P7 for Ferrari with the fastest lap, only 18.231. His progress was absolutely beautiful to watch. Not kidding at all. His progress was simply fantastic to watch. He came from near the back of the grid after total bad luck in quali to get up to P7, to take 7 points, course the fastest lap in there from 19th on the grid. A well-deserving driver of the day on that 2-stopper. Pierre Gasly finished 4 odd seconds behind, 4 points for him. Solid results for the AlphaTauri driver to round out the season. He will take P10 in the drivers, I do believe, but pretty solid as always with Pierre. Pretty solid. Couldn't finish ahead of the McLarens or the only finishing Ferrari, but overall, not too bad of a way to finish the season. And Sebastian Vettel, P9, P7 on the grid, yes, but a lot of faster cars were charging up the field. He pulled off that 1-stopper, and in fact, he was pretty close to the fastest lap there. A really solid lap. He really pulled it off. Went well today, and he's taken 2 more points for Aston Martin. Kimi Raikkonen, from P17 on the grid, takes points for Alfa Romeo in the hardest way possible. I mean, they could have easily done it from inside the top 10 last time at Coda, but no. You have to start P17, gain 7 places to 10th in Alfa Romeo to take a point. Fantastic result for Kimi. Only just pipped our teammate to the post. A real shame for Robert. Another solid result. I mean, I can tell you that the pre-season stuff for Season 2 will be coming out very soon. At least I hope so. And I don't think we're going to keep him. I mean, he's an F2 driver, but I really do think he deserves a seat. Whether it's at Haas, Williams, he does deserve a seat, because he's now, at the end of the season, showing what he can actually do, and he really is here. P11, that's a solid result. Ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, P12, could have been the points on that 1-stopper. Looking a lot stronger than Vettel, of course. Way ahead of him, when you think about it. Vettel, P9, I mean, certainly could have been P9 himself, Yuki. Could have even been ahead of Pierre Gasly, maybe Leclerc and Norris. But that spin was really costly. In fact, at one point in the Grand Prix, I thought he'd had a DNF. But that spin, it was actually a spin instead of a DNF. But a real shame for Yuki to finish the season after a promising P5 on the grid and a good start to the race. Whole minute behind ourselves. Lance Stroll's low focus once again cost him a little bit. P13 in the Aston Martin. With Alonso, P14 for Alpine. Disappointing by the end of the race. Dropped down the order a bit from around the points to down to P14. Not that great for Alpine. Their only scoring of points being last time out at Cota, when we didn't finish the race, of course. Antonio Giovinazzi, P15, the Italian, for Alfa Romeo. 16th on the grid. Gained a lovely position. And really, simply fantastic work there from Antonio. Simply fantastic. And I'm trying to be sarcastic here because, I mean, like, he's had some good results this season. He had good results at Spa, but really, it's a bit disappointing considering there were 2 DNFs. You know, but it's an okay race for Antonio. Esteban, a bit disappointing too, but the Alpines have struggled this season. P18 to 16, not that great. Then the cars that have been lapped. Mick Schumacher finished P17 ahead of George Russell. Schumacher starting P20, Russell started P18. So solid work from Mick Schumacher there. Then, of course, George Russell, Nicholas Latifi, and Nikita Mazepin rounding out the grid. Sadly, Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz didn't make it to the end with a DNF. But what a victory for us here at Mexico. We are going to, of course, have a look at the standings for the race result. Look at a bit more in-depth analysis over the season in a sense. Valtteri Bottas, your winner for Mercedes. In the driver standings, finishes a whopping 35 points ahead of Sergio Perez. Perez could have had a whole other race, won with the fastest lap and still wouldn't have reached him. Bottas, consistent, outdrove the car. A really fantastic season from the Finn, and well deserving of the Drivers' Championship. 185 points in 10 races. An average of 18.5 points a race. And let me just state, second place gets 18. So, I mean, that's something pretty fantastic from Valtteri Bottas there. Sergio Perez, 15 points a race average, isn't too shabby either. P2 for him in the Red Bull, 35 points off the lead. Another great result today. 3 podiums in a row, a resurgence for Checo in his first second of the season. So, really poor start to the season in my opinion for Checo. I mean, round 1 at Bahrain wasn't that bad, but then he had the woes at Imola and really sort of dropped off then, but has really come back in the last few races to take P2. Hamilton takes P3. I mean, arguably Verstappen deserved that more, but it just comes down to the team in a sense. I mean, Verstappen's got the better car, but he's had a lot of bad luck. So it's a bit of a difficult one there, pretty equal between them really, because Verstappen's got the faster car. He's also had a lot of engine troubles and bad luck. But in the end, Lewis Hamilton's result today puts him up to P3 on the podium in terms of the Drivers' Championship with 129 points, 56 behind his teammate though. A little bit disappointing in terms of that, but finished ahead of Max, who finishes 9 points behind. Sadly, he couldn't take any today with that DNF. Leclerc finishes P5, only 7 behind Max Verstappen with another solid result from the Monegasque. The only non-Red Bull or Mercedes driver to be within 100 points of Valtteri there. So a really good result overall from the season from Leclerc. He's had some absolute bangers of races. Nearly managed to win, of course, at Spain. Really could have won some races, but hopefully he'll do well in Season 2 and continue that form. We finish P6 in the end with what I didn't think would be a fantastic Mexican GP at the start, but it turned into a very, very enjoyable one, in my opinion. P6, we move up above Danny Ric, and Danny Ric's been a lot more solid than his teammate throughout the season. He hasn't had absolute blow-away results, but he's been a lot more consistent, and as a result, he takes P7. We are just 6 points ahead of Danny Ric in the end, 111 behind the lead, but averaging at 7.4 points a race for Season 1 is pretty fantastic. That's averaging 6th and 7th, really, alternating in a sense between those two, and that is very, very solid for a Season 1, but a really good start to the career mode for us here. P6 in our first season, really happy with that. Danny Ric P7, as I said, has been consistent. As a result, finished ahead of his teammate Lando Norris, who moves up with 51 points. Of course, Lando Norris 17 points behind his teammate. Poor start to the season, really has had a resurgence at the end of it, but hasn't really been enough for him. You know, it's been a poor start to the season for Carlos Sainz, a poor end to the season, of course. DNF'd at Spa, and then here today, couldn't make it past lap 2 with a mechanical failure. Shame for him, 43 points to finish and only finished ahead of Pierre Gasly by 4. That's a bit of a surprise there. Pierre Gasly, P10, rounding out the top 10. He's had a very solid season. It's been consistent, and that has really, really helped him. Then, Seb Vettel, P11 on 21 points, adding to that total today. Consistent throughout the season. That is what we have seen from him. Like Gasly, he's taken some really good results. He's been close to the points sometimes and just missed out, but overall this season, pretty solid from Seb Vettel in an Aston Martin that has really dropped below AlphaTauri, so he hasn't done too badly at all. Yuki Tsunoda finishes P12 with 13. Couldn't add to his points tally today. He's had some really good, decent races, but he's also had some races to forget. A very much rookie season, you know. The quality has shined through sometimes, but the sort of inexperience has also played a factor at points in the season. But overall, not too bad for a rookie. P12, with Lance Stroll just behind him, P13. He takes 7 points by the end of the season. I mean, 7 points when you look at that bad focus, terrible focus in fact, isn't too bad. You know, whether it'll be still in F1 next season, we'll have to wait and see with that focus. I don't know if Aston Martin will want him there, because I can't see too many fantastic performances coming, but not too bad for the Lance Stroll, considering these circumstances. So the Canadian P13, with Alonso P14, 1 point score this season. That was 4 points. At Kota, he finishes P14 ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, who takes 1 point for Alfa Romeo, 1 point for him at the dying moments of the first season. Esteban Ocon, P16, the highest of those not to score points. Robert Schwartzman, my teammate, with his fantastic result today, of course, despite the points, leaves him P17. Then, George Russell, P18 for Williams, with Giovinazzi, P19. The guys who haven't scored, it's based off their best result this season. Then, Schumacher, Mazepin and Latifi rounds out those who haven't scored and have 185 points less than the leader, Valtteri Bottas. Your constructor standings stay exactly the same as they were. There was only really one opportunity for it to change, and that certainly didn't happen. Mercedes win by 44 points to Red Bull, nearly 50. Pretty good there from Mercedes. 31.4 average. That is not too shabby at all. I mean, to be pretty happy with that, I have to say. For a team, you know, considering the car this season, they've done fantastically well. They've had a weaker car for all of the races but Spain. But Red Bull have also had the bad luck. You know, they've had the better car, but the bad luck. It's been a very mixed season. And it is quite debatable, really. But overall, because it's been balanced out with them having the better car and the bad luck, Mercedes win by 44 points. Bottas, the standout for them, 314 in the end, with Red Bull P2 with 270. Of course, we can look back through the season. Mechanical failure for Perez at Imola. It started there, and then from there it went downhill. Let's not forget Hungary. Verstappen in a fantastic position had a mechanical failure. And then, of course, here today, same again for Verstappen in a fantastic position. Bit unlucky. They'll be looking to carry the R&D into next season and focus on improvements. Then McLaren P4, 119 points for them. Not too bad, but of course Ferrari on the podium in the constructors with 156. McLaren have caught up to them by the end of the season. Ferrari 158 points off the lead. At one point they were pretty much with Red Bull, but they've dropped away a bit. They've had the performances from Leclerc, not really what they wanted from Sainz, but they finished comfortably ahead of McLaren there. I mean, really, second half of the season, McLaren have started to slowly come back a bit. But Ferrari P3 ahead of McLaren P4. We finished P5 by the end of the season. All of those points from myself. All of those 74 that we have taken. But a fantastic result. Top of the midfield, I definitely have to say there. Head of AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, Alpine. The target, really for me, was P10. In the drivers, we finished P6. The target for me, in terms of the constructors for the team, was P6. We finished P5. So we beat them, both of them, with a fantastic season. You know, AlphaTauri, of course, P6 behind us. they've had points both from Gasly and Tsunoda. So we've done fantastically well to finish only 240 points behind the lead and 22 ahead of the AlphaTauri team. Aston Martin finish P7. Not too bad for them, comfortably ahead of Alpine. They've had a consistent season from Vettel, not so much from Stroll. Alpine, of course, only 4 points. That's from Alonso at COTA. They've had a pretty disappointing season. Alfa Romeo have come so close to points at Spa, COTA, but then just dropped out. But today, they finally get redemption, with Kimi Raikkonen taking one away for the team as they finish P9 ahead of Williams and Haas, who fail to score. Well then, that is it to what has been a fantastic season. I mean, we've had 10 races, 2 wins for ourselves, 2 podiums, of course, with those wins. And a very respectable P6 in the championship. And I'm going to leave you on the note with a victory here in Mexico to finish the season. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button on both videos. 2 different ones for this. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out. Bit of a pest. Totally free, though. And it allows me to create this content. But there we have it here in Mexico. Plenty of stories up and down the grid. But the pivotal one, we take P6 in the championship with a victory in Mexico on the final lap on Checo Perez, and probably the best race of the season. Comment down below the best race of the season you guys think so far, you know, what you've thought out of all the races. Mine, definitely this one here in Mexico. Really fun one, and we managed to get the victory in the end. What a season, though. I mean, what a season. And I'm still buzzing after that race. Still buzzing now. And I really can't wait for Season 2. Because it can only get better from here on. And, I mean, Season 1's been great. Season 2, I'm sure, we're going to get even more action. With a bit of a change-up in the R&D, hopefully. Hopefully some driver transfers. You've got to love them. But thanks a lot for watching, guys, and prepare for the setup of Season 2, because that will have R&D changes, that will have the order shuffling, and that will certainly have, and I say certainly have, some driver transfers, because we're going to get different teammates, so there's definitely going to have to be at least one driver transfer, or at least that's the plan. But thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys sometime soon. Hope you guys have enjoyed what has been an action-packed season finale.